If you're like me, you can't wait for more news on FM23 and what's going to be added in it. So thankfully, Sports Interactive just released a new blog over on FMFC, and I'm going to go through it today. We'll look at some of the upgrades. These weren't all in the video last week, so there's some new ones on here, but this is from a blog titled Gameplay Upgrades. All right, so here's the blog, just posted today. So it's referencing the 5 headline features that they announced last week. I think, if I remember correctly, it was the squad planner, they had the UEFA Champions League, they talked a little bit about the engine improvements, and I've already forgotten the other 2, so that's a good start. But here's some of the upgrades that they're putting into this. So I mean, every year they add in small little updates and upgrades, and that's normally what adds in to making it feel like a more whole product. If you just went on those 5 headline features last week, you'd probably be a bit annoyed, a bit upset. You know, I was certainly thinking, I'm pessimistic about this new game, doesn't seem like a lot. So let's have a look at what they've added into the gameplay upgrades here. All right, we're doing the data hub. Data hub's something they added last year. A raft of new statistics and visuals. Well, okay, that's good. Let's see what they got. Expected assists, that's going to be really useful. So alongside expected goals, expected assists. So rather than just how your strikers are doing, how the players around them are doing as well, particularly wingers that you play out wide or deep line playmakers. There's often not great metrics for deep line playmakers, particularly depending on what kind of tactic you're playing. So you might see someone like Kevin De Bruyne show up really well on this one, of course. Manchester City license is in the game this year. So you can see it on the player profile and some scatter graphs and polygons. Okay, so all kinds of different ways of representing this data. Oh, this is good as well. I've just seen here, non-penalty XG, that's pretty handy because penalties, of course, but they increase it by about 0.8. So knowing that there's going to be non-penalty XG in the game as well. So you can basically compare the two and sort of find a balance between them. Because obviously a penalty could have been a goal scoring chance anyway if it was given as a penalty, but at the same time, it boosts up the XG graph massively. Open play, key passes, that's pretty good. Open play, crosses. Okay, good. There's loads of new stats. I didn't really use the data hub last year. I think as they add more of these things, and if you know, I might find that I'm looking more and more into it this year. I think because by the time it gets to game 3, I'm sort of in the groove of it. If I find a tactic that's working, I'm just not touching it. I'm sticking with it. So maybe this year I think I need to use it to tweak my tactics a little bit, make them improve them a little bit, work out who the best players in my team are. And how they're contributing to the team. Oh, there's loads more there. You know, progressive passes, pressure attempts, passing, dynamics graphs. Okay, so they've added quite a lot here to the data hub. The data hub last year was fairly light, and I'm kind of glad they've added all this other stuff. It's going to mean you can really have a deep look into how your team is performing. Field tilt, this is an interesting one. Give you an understanding of which team has dominated the game by comparing your final third passes compared to those final third passes completed by your opponent. Okay, I mean, that might depend on what tactic you're playing, but that's pretty good. Both this and passes per defensive action can be added to your match stats during the game itself, right? That's really useful. I might add these because that's more where I'm looking at, you know, my XG and how my team's performing. I'll keep an eye on it in the match stats rather than going into the data hub and looking at it afterwards. So to get it during the match is really, really useful. All right, you can set your preferred visuals as well. That's always good. All right, match analytics. What have they added in terms of match analytics? New metrics and visualization to data hub. We're working to ensure that the data shown to you in matches and in inbox items is more informative and actionable. Okay, that's handy. Yeah, because sometimes you see data, you don't quite know how you should be responding to it, should be making tweaks here and there or making other adjustments. So that's going to be good. Match momentum graph. Okay, again, that's going to tell me, is my team playing well? Do I have to make tweaks and changes? Like, you know, you might go down a goal, but your team might be the better playing team. Pass maps is pretty handy as well. These are going to be up. Pass maps was a bigger mission. I think you could get it deep in the game last year, but pass maps will be really useful this year. So all this stuff, and you can get it up on that touchline tablet. That is pretty handy. I'm liking that. I'm going to use that stuff more this year, I think. You have analytic reports ranking your player or club's performance in relation to your current competition. That's handy. You know, I'd like to know how I'm faring compared to the opposition, defense, attack, you know, where I'm performing perhaps weaker than other teams, where I'm performing stronger. Normally my teams have high XG, but they might also concede a lot of goals as well. Online modes. Okay, here we go. So online modes. This is the stuff I want to see to do with draft mode. FM22 saw the return of versus mode. Yep, we did a quick look on that earlier in the year. This year we leveled up its functionality to make those battles more for bragging rights, more engagement. Leaderboards, good. Available through the FM drop down. Okay, so there's a dedicated versus mode leaderboard. That's nice. I wonder how that's going to work though. How's it going to work out on in terms of rankings? Is there going to be some kind of elo system or something in there? I'm curious in terms of what they've added with that leaderboard. That could be something really interesting, or it could be something that the people ignore if it's just a simple points. You know, play more games, get more points. If it's something that simple, I could see people avoiding it. But if there's a real like, okay, this person's like a high elo like chess. You know, he wins a lot of games, even if he wins them with Boreham Wood, and he's playing Manchester Cities and Barcelonas, and they're doing really well. I think that's going to be like the test of how good this is in versus mode. If it's a proper ranking system, you know, like people, you know, look at Rocket League or FIFA, how much people are like, oh, I've got to get to rank 1, or I've got to get to platinum, or I've got to get to gold division, you know, whatever division it is in the game. People will strive for it. They want to be the top player in that game, in the top division. I know there's often rewards linked to it in those games, but in FM, I think, you know, I'm the person who runs the rankings. There's always loads of interest in who's top of the rankings. If that's done right, that's going to be really good. Functionality to auto-export your career mode teams at the end of every season. Okay, that's handy. That's, yeah, a more seamless way for you to step into versus mode. That's nice, because you had to do it a little bit manually before, and you had to remember and stuff. At the end of every season, I'm going to export my team and have it there, and then, like, because I remember at the end of this year, I was like, right, I want to see which of my teams this year was the best, and I couldn't do it. So you can sort of do it and put your squads against each other, even in a little mini tournament. Within versus and draft mode, you're now able to set the number of substitutes you want to use in the game. Okay, that's good. So you can, because this year the Premier League's changed. You can now use 5 3 times, traditional 3, 5. Okay, good. So there's more options. Is it just 3 or 5, or is there more? Does it say? It doesn't say. Okay, so that's nice. At least there's an option of 5 subs, particularly in some of the modes where injuries like happen a lot. If you've got, you know, I know sometimes when people are playing in draft mode and they're playing a league system and you end up with loads of suspensions, I think it's going to be really handy with those extra subs. Online career mode made it easy to join a friend's game when the fixture is complete. When your fixture is complete. Over in career mode, we made it easier for you to join a friend's game when your fixture is complete. We know how important it is to get that first. Oh, right. So you can, when your game is done, you can go in and watch the game. I think you could do that anyway. I don't know, like, maybe it's a back end thing or something, but I'm pretty sure you could do that in draft mode. You could certainly do it. I don't know what if they've just fixed it to make it work better. It sounds like there. Manager creation. Okay, manager creation. Let's see what they got here. So the last few years, they've had some crazy eyebrows on the manager. So hopefully, actually, I think almost if you go back and look at FM19 or 20, some of the player models even looked a bit better. I could not get a person to look like me this year. The years before, I could get someone to look like me. So we'll see what it is. In terms of manager's physical appearance, we've introduced 6 new male and female hairstyles. Okay, I mean, I don't need many of them. New suits and coats have been added. Okay, cool, for male and female. Good. Oh, you can look stylish by adding a scarf. I like that option. That should be fair. You know, I wish you could have like a winter outfit and a summer outfit. That'd be pretty cool. Or if you could just change it during the game. Can you actually change it? It doesn't say if you can change it during the game. Okay, but that's interesting, right? Like, it's always good to have more customization options. I don't know if you're ever going to see a little watch on your manager, but yeah, that's cool. MLS is one of the world's most complex and interesting leagues. That is no joke. People really do not like playing MLS in Football Manager. So for FM23 made a host of tweaks to improve the experience of managing in North America and reflect real life rule changes. New under 22 initiative. Okay, they've changed the rules. A couple of changes made in the way to regard Canadian players are classified. I think there was a problem with the game last year with Canadian teams. I don't even remember. MLS clubs have 8 international spots available by default. I mean, do you know, at some point I'm gonna have to try MLS. Like, the rules in MLS are crazy with contracts, and I don't even know if, like, is this saying, is designated players gone? Is that like now the international players rule? MLS is certainly improving. Like, look at some of the players at LAFC, for example. I mean, they're retirement league players, but it's certainly looking like a better league now than it was 5-10 years ago. Pre-match briefings. Okay, this is the final thing. Pre-match briefings also had a shake-up to improve both the content featured during them, but also how this information is displayed to you as a manager. Okay, the rise of fly on the wall documentary series providing some of, yeah, okay, so all or nothing, or like, there's some really good ones. If you want to go to some good ones, go watch the Crystal Palace one. That one's great. The QPR one, I think it's called the 5-year plan. That one is really interesting. It became players that players wouldn't necessarily speak up about an issue before a game. Okay, interesting. So that's something with a gauge on their body language, emotions, and potential frustrations, more likely to come from an assistant. Okay, so your assistant provides feedback on how they're... That's interesting. So they've sort of seen what's happening in the real world in a foot pitch, rather than the captain going, no, we don't agree with that, boss, like right before a game, which they wouldn't do. That's pretty cool. Check back on FMFC in the coming days for another feature drop, this time coming from studio director Miles. All right, cool. So there's going to be more stuff coming. But I like, you know, this is sort of what we want in Football Manager, is more stuff. Let it feel more like a fleshed out game than just an update to last year's game. It's got to feel like a whole new game, give us a reason to play it. So I'm excited by some of this. So we had this gameplay stuff, the data hub, the online modes, the MLS, the pre-match briefing. But I mean, the fact that they said there's more coming as well, and this is all completely different to stuff that was in the video last week, is really interesting. So I think, you know, this could be there could be quite a lot of updates they've added in here. You know, last week's ones felt a little bit small. Actually, a lot of these ones probably feel about on level with those headline updates. I guess, you know, you got Champions League license, you put it there, it's flashy, it's at the front, right? And I'm pretty excited about that Champions League license. I'm pretty sure everyone, Twitter, Miles confirmed that the music is going to be in the game as well. So that's going to be really cool. I think it's a Europa League music. There is the Europa League license, they've shown that as well. But I think it has its own music as well. So I don't remember how it goes, but I'm going to have to check if that's the game when that comes out as well. But yeah, I'm pretty excited about this. Which feature, whether it be from the previous videos or from this blog today, are you most excited about in FM23? What do you see yourself using the most? Let me know in the comments down below. While you're down there, hit that like button and hit that subscribe button as well. And I'll be bringing you more content in the run up to and post launch on FM23. In the meantime, want to go check out this video on Italian save ideas in FM23. Who could you take on if you're going to do a save in Italy? This video's for you. There's some good ideas in there. There's some in the comments too as well. Go check them out.